Some people share here, uneven bounce. Hope you guys are well. So it's IPL Kati number 3 today. I'm trying to switch on my accent after getting smashed by Krishna Kalki last week on my IG. So we have Krishna Kalki on the show today, Sayan Banerjee, Anurag Reddy, and Aditya Umeta. So guys, I hope that was all right. We've got 2 people in the chat. Hope you guys are well. With us live, I think we've got Rishabh. He's been waiting patiently for quite some time. But yeah, so we obviously been covering the last 7 days of the IPL. Lot to go through. Obviously, starting with today, obviously Sayan's busting out the tank top, busting out those guns, as well as busting his nut, because Kolkata pulled off as a 5-wicket victory, I believe it was at the end, against Punjab Kings.
Full of highs, to be honest.
So yeah. Well done to Owen Morgan, obviously, and captain to be there at the end. But anyway, well done to Kolkata. We'll get into that in a little bit of time. I'm just going to start because Rishab's been waiting for a while. Answer his questions. If we start off, actually, he might have gone now, but I will still answer a couple of his questions that he's asked. I'll start with the first one here, which is for now, what do you feel about multiple position this year with respect to last year? What state will be in his best performance so far? Sure. Who mentioned about the travails of Mumbai's middle order? Was it you, Sayan?
Yeah.
Do you maybe want to take that question?
Yeah, actually, I think what happened was the first matches which Mumbai played were in Chepauk, right? And it was a slowish pitch. It didn't quite suit the likes of the 3 Pandya brothers, right? 3, I mean, Pollard too. But I think as they are moving, they're moving to either Ahmedabad or Chinnaswamy, if I'm not wrong. However, those are not slow pitches, and as we saw, the dew is quite heavy in Ahmedabad. So I think the Mumbai as a whole unit will be back together. Ishan Kishan, Quinton de Kock, probably along with Hardik Pandya and everyone should ideally be back to form. And if they're not, still I think they'll qualify because of the quality of their side, mainly in Surya Kumar Yadav and Rohit Sharma. They have played quite brilliant knocks.
And thank you, Simon. If we go on to the second part of this question, what state was CSK been with their better performances so far this year? Do you want to take that second part of the question as well, Simon?
Sure. Okay, so firstly, I feel CSK as a unit has been in better form this year. Also, the inclusion of Moeen Ali he has been their X factor in all the matches. What previously used to happen was CSK couldn't accelerate in the middle last year, as we saw. But however, Moeen Ali comes and how much ever he hits, maybe a 30 of 20 or 15 balls, 30, that actually keeps the innings going on for the Jadejas or the Dhonis or the Sam Currans to come in and blast off. So they are in a much better position. And also Deepak Chahar. I feel he should be rested in one match and played in the next, because he takes a 4-4 in one match and then goes bullocks.
Krishna, I also see you're obviously CSK fan here. Is there any comments on your second part of that question?
It's tough, man. CSK. See, what state will CSK be in with their better performance so far this year? Of course, they'll be absolutely overjoyed and out of the moon because they've done better than everybody's expectations so far. So I think so far they've been good. I think the question is now, when they start to lose a couple of games, will the wheels fall off? Will they be exposed? Is there even something to be exposed? So I think those questions will be answered as the season goes on.
Thank you. Another question from Rishabh. Thank you, Rishabh. You guys can read that. So I'll leave this to Aditya if you want to answer this one, mate, and then we'll pass over to Anurag to get his thoughts.
With Rajasthan, they're a sport of bother, and it's really out of their control. I think they're left with 4 overseas players now, and
is it 5 with Rassi? Is it 5 with Rassi now?
Rassi hasn't arrived. I think he's still waiting for his visa clearance.
Oh, okay.
So even after he arrives, he's going to have to be in quarantine for a period of time, and then he won't be ready for the next match straight away. So it's going to be a while before Rassi's in the mix. But it's tricky. I really feel for Rajasthan because their Indian talent is fairly inexperienced, and the sort of pressure that that the overseas players will have to endure over that period of time is going to be brutal. So I think Rajasthan, in a lot of ways, are in the same position that Chennai was in last year. Where COVID hit like 10 of CSK's members, and their preparation was delayed by a couple of weeks, and that reflected in the tournament because they were rusty. And I feel like Rajasthan's going to have a similar fate this year for no real fault of theirs, even though their performances have been sort of inconsistent. Um, as for DC, um, you know, the Delhi Capitals, they're a good team, and they seem to have backup options. So if with Ashwin leaving, I don't think it's going to leave that much of a hole because they've still got Akshar Patel, who was brilliant in yesterday's Super Over, and they've still got Amit Mishra, who's a fantastic leg spinner. So I don't think that's going to be a problem as such. But obviously, losing an individual of the quality of Ashwin, and his batting skills as well, that's always going to be a loss. But I don't think it will have as much of an impact on Delhi's performances.
Thank you, Aditya. Rishabh, I'll ask a couple more questions. I'll head to Anurag here for the final question from Rishabh.
Okay, let me go for this. So yeah, if you see today's match, the second innings was totally, dominated by the batting side because you saw a lot of you saw many fielders misjudging the boundary. They let go of many boundaries. The catches were taken brilliantly, but you see there was a lot of dew in the outfield, and no matter what the ground staff could do, they could not prevent it. Probably in the later phases, the ground staff will radiate in a better way. That way, you'll have equal balance between bat and ball. So probably you'll see high-scoring matches as the tournament progresses, but it's a beauty of a track to bat on.
We saw low-scoring games there, didn't we? Kolkata struggled to chase. What was it, 129 in the end? Yeah, so we've got one more question, Rishabh, before we move into the agenda, but I appreciate you sticking on there, mate. I'll stay with you, Anurag, for this question, if you want to answer this one. What do you think about RCB's batting order, 4 batsmen?
So yeah, the RCB core lies between these 4, and if they falter like what happened in the CSK match, that is when RCB is going to start packing their bags. So if their Indian batsmen don't perform, a guy like Devdutt Padikkal performed very well, but the other guys, Washington Sundar was thrusted up the top order and he could not perform. So the pressure is always there. If they start faltering, that is when the RCB will start going down.
Sayan, do you want to comment as well on this?
Who in their right minds would go in with 4 batsmen only? Come on. And 2 of them being Devdutt Padikkal and Virat Kohli. Although Padikkal performed well, but let's be honest, he's not the most consistent of batters out there, nor is Kohli in his current form. Maxwell might be a bit consistent, but that leaves you with 2 options. And that also De Villiers faltered. And Washington Sundar coming at 3, that's the most insane idea that anyone can have. Yeah, he's a good test batter maybe, but he cannot up your run rate. But he can. I don't think he can hit those power play 6s and 4s. So it was a crazy idea that day.
Didn't the other night? Didn't RCB play 3 overseas players rather than 4? The last game but 1.
No. They played 4, I guess.
I thought they played 3 in one of them.
Jamieson, Maxwell, Daniel Christian. Yeah, they played 1 before that, but they played Rajat Patidar in place of Dan Christian.
Yeah, I thought they dropped Christian. A lot of confidence there, isn't it?
The most useless player in IPL, if I may.
That was, I think that game was against KKR.
That's why. They didn't need
Yeah.
Yo,
Great.
All right, Rishabh, thanks for your questions. Thanks. If you want to stick around, please do. Obviously, we've gone through some of the stuff now. So I'm going to go to Krishna with this one because CSK are rolling back the years, aren't they, a little bit with this one, led by the evergreen MSD. What do you think is working so well in this tournament? It seems to be a real resurgence there. Dad's Army still very much in full flow. We've seen 38 Dwayne Bravo, coming out there and taking a bit of time to warm up and get those old creaky joints going. But they're playing exceptionally well. And listen, Jadeja, what a play this guy is. I think his stats read. I think he's economy rate is 5 wickets in 5 matches, economy rate of just over 6, and he's striking at 109. I mean, he really is the glue in that middle order, isn't he? And very much an X factor and match winner. But what else have you been impressed with, Krishna, of these first 5 games?
See, what I really like is that everybody is sort of coming to the party. It's not just one player who CSK is relying on. Like every match, it's whether it's Faf or whether it's Rutu or whether it's Raina, whether it's Moeen, even Dhoni's kind of starting to find some glimpses of form also, right? Rayudu's also kind of just trying to get some runs there. And even the bowlers as well. Deepak Chair has really stepped his game up. I think the only player who really hasn't contributed enough for CSK yet is Shardul Thakur. And I do see him doing a lot more in this season. I don't think we should count him out yet. I think everybody's like, oh, Shardul Thakur is, he's been having a dream run, but that's it. There's no more of Shardul Thakur. He's not a good enough player. He's not a useful player, this, that. But I think we'll see a lot more of Shardul. But yeah, coming back to my point, I definitely like the fact that we're not relying on 1 or 2 players. We're not relying on it's just a group of players where everybody's coming in, everybody's chipping in. And that is what CSK has always been about. It's always been been about people. Somebody who doesn't perform may not perform throughout the season. We're not somebody, like most of the times, we're not a team that wins the orange cap or wins the purple cap, right? You have those odd occasions where Dwayne Bravo wins it or Ashish Nehra or somebody wins it. But most days, we don't win the orange cap, right? And we always expect somebody else, we always expect somebody in those top 7, 8 batsmen to come and perform, right? It may not happen today, it may not happen tomorrow, but one of these days it will happen. And that's kind of the philosophy. And I think that has come back now with Chinnathala, Reina coming back into the fore. I think that's been great. And also what I really like is that I think we're backing players even after their failures, which a lot of the teams are not doing right now. If you look at Punjab, if you look at Kolkata, if you look at teams like even RCB also, right? They're not backing players after failures, right? The only changes that CSK has made has been forced changes, right? Or tactical changes. It's not really been a change that has come out of somebody being out of form, right? So that I really appreciate that about CSK this year. And also we have good replacements. We don't have the problem of last year where we didn't have replacements at all, right? We've gotten rid of all the junk in CSK, and we've come in and taken some good youngsters also. So I think the balance is looking a lot better. Guys like Moeen Ali have stepped up. That I think Moeen Ali has found a home at CSK, which is just beautiful. I am so happy, and it's even more sweet for me because it's a player we've taken from RCB. So I'm very happy about that, personally speaking. So yeah, I think CSK have definitely hit a lot of nails on the head. But we'll see how they continue to perform. Only 5 games done. We shouldn't get cocky at all. We shouldn't get overconfident. So let's hope and see what happens.
Yeah, only just a third of the way through the group stage, aren't we? Yeah, I mean, I think you may have hit the nail on the head, actually. CSK always seems to be the greater than the sum of their parts. It's never really been about one. It's like, for example, Sunrise, we'll get to in a little while. They're very much reliant on 3, 4, 5 plays absolute maximum. Whereas with CSK, I feel like maybe that's down to potentially the coaching team, between Dhoni and Fleming, that dynamic those two have, that relationship they have. It's been so long-standing now that they've always been. I think if you look at them as captains, especially Stephen Fleming, who's a New Zealand captain, he was always about inclusivity, and the way he used to lead his New Zealand sides, he used to get the best out of, I'm not saying average players, but he used to get the best out of players like someone Danny Vittori. The way he captained him, and I think there's other players in the mix there, but Nathan Astor, for example, he was a wonderful captain. I think Dhoni kind of follows in some kind of footsteps. That's not just about, the key players, the best players on paper. Krishna, do you want to carry on with that?
Yeah, I just want to add one last point. I think this season, if you look at this season compared to last season, you look at the body language of CSK, look at the attitude. They're playing with a lot more positivity. They're really enjoying the cricket they're playing. Like even the runouts, everybody's celebrating, everybody's having fun. Jadeja's smiling, he's dancing, So I think that also is one of the big changes that CSK has brought in this season. That's a lot more positive and people are not panicking. So yeah, I would say that's one of my points. Yeah.
Happy player is always a dangerous player, I think, So we start at the top, and I'll go to the bottom. So it's about Sunrise versus Hyderabad. What's been going on? Anurag, I'm going to start with you on this one. Obviously, the cat caught my Instagram today. I was a little bit annoyed about what's been going on with these guys. Obviously, some frustration, I think, for all Sunrisers fans, including myself. What do you want to say, Anurag, regarding this? I mean, obviously, we'll talk about maybe the over-reliance on the overseas players. Some management and administration decisions have been made, and what is actually happening with this Indian middle order. And if you want to elaborate, that'd be great.
Yeah, so firstly, let me start with Manish Pandey's selection. So he's performed in 2 matches. He's just thrown away his wicket. It isn't a crime if you ask me. He shouldn't have been dropped if you ask me. He's that guy who shepherds your middle order and either takes you to a win or at least gets it close for the SRH. But you drop this guy and bring in youngsters who are relatively inexperienced in the international scene. A guy like Virat Singh may be a good player in the domestic, but if you see, he has struggled while the ball was turning or the odd ball was bouncing. The way he played yesterday, probably the fans in the Facebook pages were really angry on him. They were really asking him to get out on purpose. So a guy like Manish Pandey has been dropped, and when asked during the post-match presentation, Warner himself admitted that this decision was a big blunder. This is entirely onto the management and the selection team. So it looks like Warner doesn't have any control as of now on his team selection. It is his team, and Sunrisers should make sure that he has entire control of it. But it looks like the scene isn't like that. Secondly, what can I say? If a guy like Bairstow, who scores 36 in just 18 balls, belts each and every bowler out of the park, and you do not pick him to go bat first during the super over, that is insane. I cannot say anything apart from that. When you know Kane Williamson was set, it's okay. You can send him as your second batsman, but you could have had Bairstow start facing the first ball to Akshar Patel. He could have given you a boundary or a 6 as well, but that hasn't happened. You just scored 8 runs, and one of that was a short run, and that could have actually won you the super over, which didn't happen again. So these 2 main points where Sunrisers has gone down in the past week, and I think if they try to rectify these points right from selection, the batsman's intent, and the middle order's passion to finish the game, that is where we can rise again.
Do you feel like Anurag, they're maybe making too many selection changes? I think they've rotated the teams the most of all 8 sides, I believe. I'm not sure the exact number. I think they made the most changes per game. It feels to me there seems to be a lot of muddied kind of waters there. What's going on between Bayliss, between Moody? Is there maybe some conflict between the two of them, along with Warner? Maybe because Warner actually was quite vocal yesterday, wasn't he? He was quite outspoken. It was like a call to the previous Warner. He was clearly frustrated the fact that Manish Pandey has not been selected. It was nothing down to him. He openly said that pretty much, which the ascension in ranks after 5 games is not a good look. But I think SRH came in as one, in my opinion, maybe it's bias, as one of the favourites, especially to make the top 4 with that squad that was on paper. They're languishing in 7th on 2 points. 1 win out of 5. It's looking pretty dismal.
8 as of today.
Was that?
They are 8 as of today.
Oh, I said the bottom. Yeah, okay. So they're now, stuck in the bottom, aren't they? Obviously, the only positive is the only way is up, isn't it? But is it potentially behind the scenes maybe some wrestling going on between Moody, who obviously was coach a number of years, won the IPL, our base is coming with his own agenda and his kind of thought processes. Could there be some issues there, potentially?
So I think different captains have different ways of picking their team. So if you look at Ian Morgan, even though they were losing, he stuck with the same team and won the match today. Mm-hmm. And if you see at Warner, he kinds of makes a lot of changes, then tries to find the right balance and then sticks with the team until the end. So probably Warner's of that kind. So now they found that Jagdish and Suchit can ball well and as well hit the big sixes. I think they're going to stick with him at around 5 down or 6 down, and he's going to be the finisher SRH would need along with Manish Pandey. So that is where I think Sunrisers make a lot of changes, make mistakes, then I think try to rectify at the end and somehow survive the tournament. When coming to how the management has been dealt with the captains, I think Warner has to be given his freedom in selecting his own team. And I don't think Lakshman and the management should involve too much in that. And it's just, their presence is only to, help the youngsters to develop their game and, actually help them thrive in the international arena and nothing else.
Thank you, Anurag. Aditya, come to you. I want to talk about Rajasthan Royals briefly. I know obviously they've gone through a lot of issues. Obviously, Jofra Archer, not available anymore. Ben Stokes going home early. They're also equal on 4 points. There's a bit of a gulf now between the top 3 and then the rest, and you've got Sunrise at the bottom. But do you feel like maybe Rajasthan, especially with the acquisition of Amanda Dewson, hopefully he's available soon? How do you rate their chances of sneaking into that top 4?
it's difficult. I think they've also depleted the squad, and it's starting with the captain. I'm not so sure about Sanju Samson's captaincy credentials. I'm not suggesting that he can't be uh, a tactically astute captain in time, but I don't know how that decision was made, and why that decision was made. Maybe it's because he's the most experienced Rajasthan Royals player in that team. But with his consistency, with his struggles, and we talked about this before the IPL started, that he's going to play one good innings, he's going to play one dream innings, and then he's going to fall away, and that's exactly what happened. So I think that's a concern. And beyond that, just team composition. It's very hard. It's very hard when you're literally stuck with literally no options to fall back on. If even one of the overseas players uh, has a bad day and perhaps needs to be rested, or there's an injury concern, then what do you do? Do you have the Indian experience to be able to cover that? I don't think so. So that's a problem. Then the player they had Yashasvi Jaiswal in for the game yesterday. They dropped Manan Vora. Now, Manan Vora is low on confidence, but it's not like Jaiswal is going to do any better given his current form, and he hasn't had a great domestic season either. So it's very hard. Like that's where CSK's selection strategy is so consistent, and perhaps the model of how selection should really take place, because MS Dhoni says that we strategize and we try to formulate our best 11, and if it doesn't work, we're not going to make changes. We're going to persist with players, because if you make changes and the replacement player doesn't perform, then what are you going to do? And I think that's exactly the challenge that the Rajasthan Royals are facing, Sunrisers are facing, and I don't know. I hope Rassi Vanderdosen comes in and can infuse a sense of optimism and perhaps produce a couple of good performances to really lift them, because they need it. But in saying that, I don't know how true it is. It looks like the Rajasthan Royals are trying to are talking to franchises to get them to sort of loan overseas players for the season. So I don't know how that's going to work out. But yeah, let's see.
Does anyone want to just add some final points to Rajasthan? I mean, maybe through the fact they don't have that many players available to them anymore, that's why they're able to have roughly the same side. The pool of side seems to be very similar every game what I've seen so far. The odd tweaking of changes, but Dubé they persisted with. Kawalti is always there. Cat's there. Miller's there. Top of the order. Well, Manavor has been changed up, but Butler's still there despite his struggles. I mean, Krishna or Sayan, do you guys want to maybe take it and see do they have an outside chance of maybe sneaking to that top four? Or is that just it's just too many other strong franchises to make that happen?
Should I go? Or?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So firstly, I think the problem is with the consistency of their top order batsmen in Butler. Sanju Samson has produced, I think, 2 good innings. The last one being with KKR, and also their lower middle order being Rahul Tewatia and Riyan Parag. I don't think Riyan Parag is given that many overs also, and he's not given the overs which are needed to be bowled by him. He's given overs which are belter overs, maybe, like, but he will get smacked. Also Rahul Tewatia, I don't know, has he played a good innings yet? I don't think so. So they can't really depend on them. Morris is again.
Good. I think Chris Morris has actually done quite well for them.
Yeah, Morris has actually done quite well. So I feel they've got one reliable batsman down there, but you can't move Morris up, right? If Morris moves up, then who finishes for them?
Yeah.
So they've got quite a lot of problems, and I hope their replacements can solve it. And I think they are wanting Tim Seifert also, if I'm not wrong.
From KKR.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to go to Anurag in a little while about the transfer rumours. But Krishna, you raise your hand. Do you want to kind of elaborate on this, Rajasthan?
Yeah, actually, so I have a friend who does a Rajasthan Royals podcast. It's called the Royals Army on Spotify. Shout out to him.
Okay.
Pranav is my friend, and we have a lot of discussions about the Rajasthan Royals, and he talks a lot about it, the very interesting subjects that surround the Rajasthan Royals that normal people, normal viewers, normal cricket viewers like us don't really sort of ponder about. He talks about Manan Vohra. He talks about the Royals, just that whether Stokes is really worth the money and worth selection, right? I think this is a topic we've discussed, but I mean, I've always thought that Manan Vohra, right? He's a guy that is somebody who can sort of, I feel like he can play at number 4, even though everybody says he should open and everybody likes to put him up there as an opener. I feel like his kind of attacking style can be sort of used as like maybe even 5 also can be good for him. Sort of play him as like a kind of a finisher, kind of an accelerator, just to sort of the role that Suresh Raina plays. Right, sort of the role that Suresh Raina plays now at number 4 for CSK, kind of just accelerate the innings, give a 20-30 odd run, kind of just to push that innings a little bit further. Manan Vohra can play that kind of role. Maybe opening is not good for him. And Yashasvi Jaiswal as an opener, Samson at 3, Manan Vohra 4, Miller 5, Parag 6, Tewatia 7, Morris 8. Maybe that might actually do some good for Rajasthan, as opposed to trying to get runs out of a Shivam Dubey, right? Because yes, Shivam Dubey got a 40 in the last game, but I mean, come on, we've seen him for what, 3 seasons now. The guy has been paid so overpaid, heavily overpaid, and the guy has not delivered. It's just not. I mean, for the amount of I guess rancor and bluster he comes in with, and everybody's like, oh, this guy hit 5 sixes in an over, in domestic cricket, but he's just another Virat Singh or another whatever you say, Rajat Patidar, who's come in with a big name, but hasn't really delivered yet. But I guess you can be lenient to Rajat Patidar and Virat Singh because they've only played a couple of games. But Shivam Dubey has been doing this for 3 years now. I mean, where and he's a regular Indian international cricketer. Like, why are you not getting more out of him? Why are you it's really, it boggles my mind as to why they continue to play these kind of players. Yashasvi Jaiswal also can offer you those overs. You don't need Shivam Dubey to give you those overs. Riyan Parag gives you that part-time role also. So they have 7 bowlers. They don't need Dubey's bowling. They certainly are not getting enough out of his batting. So get a Manan Vohra at 4. When Rasi van der Dusen comes in there, maybe then you can think about how you want to switch your order around. I think the only good thing about the Rajasthan besides Morris has been Sakaria. Like, Chetan Sakaria has just been superb for them. He's been one of the shining spots in a very fragile Rajasthan Royals team. So we'll see what happens. But I think there's not a lot of hope for Rajasthan. But I hope they at least try and finish 7th, because it's unfair. Yeah.
Thank you there, Krishna. All right, we'll go to you. Obviously, we'll talk about off camera about the transfer rumours. We touched on it already. For example, Tim Seifert going to Rajasthan. Is there anything that you've heard about potentially other movements? Is this window actually even approved yet? Is it official? This window?
Yes, I think the window is actually official. It started from today itself, and there were 2 fictitious transfers which I would love to happen. So there are 2 bench warmers who actually might not get a game from now. So one would be Mitchell Santner, who's sitting idle in the bench. I would love him to go to Rajasthan Royals actually. So because if you see their spin attack, both Shreyas Gopal or Tewatia haven't been performing that well. So rather than picking one of them, I'll have Mitchell Santner there. He can also offer with the bat as well and give you control with his left arm spin. That is one. Then again, SRH do not have a middle order batsman. So there is the Delhi Capitals Sam Billings, who's sitting idle, who will actually be getting into their middle order, and Jason Roy could be transferred to Delhi because I'm sure one of Dhawan or Prithvi Shaw would lose form at the latter end of the tournament and they would be benched. So getting in and a proper opener is the way to go for them. So these are the 2 things that I'm interested with. And with Sayan saying Tim Seifert might be pushed into that team, so that is a great option as well for them. So yeah, I think if all these happens, I think that is when the team start to settle down, and that is when the wins started to come onto the table.
Has anyone heard any other rumours potentially of some trades during the window?
So basically, what I heard was there was Rajasthan actually traded something from a southern team. So they went for trading 2 players, and one of them was from a southern team. So I'm guessing it has to be CSK. I guess it can be Robin Uthappa because they lack an opener, right? So it can be Robin Uthappa due to his terrific form in the Vijay Hazare Trophy, right? And I think it's ciphered. It has to be ciphered.
You think they would take Roman Topper back after last season? He's got rid of him, didn't they? They managed to get him out, and do you think they would take him back?
They did a wrong thing, I think. Why would you trade someone like Robin Uthappa? He offers so much with the bat at the top.
I think with
I wanna
yesterday,
comment
Ampati
it.
Rayudu pulled his hamstring, so I think Robin could replace him in the next match. I'm not sure, but I'm just telling you. Rayudu had pulled his hamstring yesterday.
Oh. But still, it's like there will be a trade. And this is the first time in IPL history that a trade will take place mid-season.
Aditya, which team do you feel needs a player from another side?
Rajasthan needs as many players as they can get. To be honest,
I think
and
you
I
lost
think it's
on a raw deal, man. I don't think they're that bad. You also none of you mentioned the Fizz. Fizz has done all right. He's actually done
yeah,
better than previous seasons.
he's fine. Look, the concern with with Rajasthan is that first of all you have to look at the existing gaps in the team. So as Krishna was talking about Mana and Vora, right? Mana and Vora wasn't performing at the top of the order. Yashasvi Jaiswal came in. If Jaiswal doesn't perform, what are you going to do? And the thing is, because they're stretched so thin that they have literally no replacement. So you have an injury concern. What are you going to do? It's as simple as that. If Fizz gets injured, if Morris gets injured, what are you going to do? And Morris is prone to injury, so they need to have some sort of backup. Where assuming you get a bowler for Morris, and you get another batsman just in case Butler gets injured. You have to do something. You need to have some sort of stock in your warming your bench, because look, this is a long tournament. It's going to go on till the 30th of May. There's another month of cricket to play. So, I think they do need to have some sort of contingency plan, because how they're going right now, I don't think that they're going to be able to beat like Chennai and Mumbai and RCB in coming games. They're just too strong.
It's interesting, isn't it, how the IPL is shaping up now? You feel like when you see two sides against each other, even though it's a T20 game, you do see a gulf in class. You can almost make a fair prediction now to say. I mean, the only one that I was surprised recently was Punjab beating Mumbai. That was a turn for the books, in my opinion. I couldn't believe that. But generally, you think you see two sides, you think, okay, that side's going to win. You are seeing disparity in teams. I mean, one team is struggling badly. I still say is Punjab Kings. I mean, Aditya, I'm going to stick with you because I know you're quite vocal on this subject, which is David Milan not getting a game so far. I mean, Nicholas Purin, I just got stats up here. I mean, he's played 6 games now, all 6 games, 28 runs, averaging 5.6 with a strike rate of 93. I mean, that is just disgraceful stats in it, really. I mean, they make anyone shake, and I hate Punjab, so but I me but I mean, what has this guy got to do? David Milan, what the hell has he got to do to get a game? I mean, I know we talked about the universal boss being replaced, but surely Purin now has got to the end of his rope.
The trouble for Rajasthan Royals is that for Punjab Kings is that they've got too much supply of top 3 batsmen. You've got K. Rahul, you've got Mayank Agarwal, universe boss Chris Gale, and you've got Malan. So you can't play any of these batsmen at 5, which means that Nicholas Purin has to play, irrespective of his form. And the trouble is that you either have to replace Gale, which is a big decision considering his reputation. But it's something that I would do, because look, if Gale gives you 50 of 35 balls, David Milan can also give you 50 of 35 balls. Gale is going to do it hitting 4 sixes and running the odd single. David Milan is probably going to run a few more 2s, maybe hit the odd boundary and a 6. Either way, you're going to get 50 of 35 runs. But what Milan gives you is that he's also a great outfielder. And Chris Gale is the sort of individual that you have to hide in the field. So when you have a small ground, right, Milan's contribution with the bat is going to be the same as Gale's. Gale he's not made a massive score just yet, right? And Milan is the sort of guy that you can rely on to have, to really elevate your fielding standards. So I think that they need that. And on tougher wickets where the ball doesn't come onto the bat very well, Gale is not going to be able to smack those sixes for sure. You're going to have to need a more like multi-dimensional game where you rotate strike better. Chris Gale is not going to rotate strike, and I don't know what it's going to take for Mala to get in that side. He really needs to be there because his absence is putting so much pressure on KL Rahul, who Wasim Jafar said is not going to be the timid KL Rahul we saw last year. So that's my 2 cents on David Malan and the Punjab Kings, because right now they don't seem to have a strategy for how they're going to go about setting first innings totals. And this is where I think virtually every single team needs to learn from CSK. If you watched MS Dhoni yesterday, he said that the past score was about 165, and the entire team effort was about trying to get to that total, and anything else that they get is a bonus. So I think that's a part of T20 cricket that CSK has done incredibly well over the years, and I don't think other teams do it. Let's get as many runs as we possibly can cannot be an approach in cricket, any form of cricket. And I think Punjab Kings simply need to plan better. Like what we saw today from the batters was simply diabolical. It is in this format to have, then for the second time in the tournament, being languishing at 95 for 7 is ridiculous for the sort of quality that they've got in their squad.
Thank you, Aditya. Krishna, I want to just round up with you on the Punjab Kings for a good side about KKR. What is your opinion, LC? I mean, Punjab, look, there's some risers. Yes, they're bottom of the league. But they're narrowly losing to good sides. They can turn it around. I just look at Punjab and I think that team is destined to finish bottom. But is there a potential for them to turn around? They've got the number one T20 batsman sitting on the bench with a thumb up his arse. Is he going to get an opportunity, do you think? And if he is going to, who's he coming for?
See, I mean, if David Malan has to come in, he has to come in for Chris Gale. I don't see anybody else he can come in for because they need the Moises Enriques, Meredith, Jai Richardson spot for one bowler.
Nicholas Pooran stays on the side. Is that what we're saying? 93 strike rates.
Okay, Nicholas Pooran, right? Nicholas Pooran. See, the issue with Nicholas Pooran dropping Nicholas Pooran is the reason why everybody is saying Nicholas Pooran. I guess maybe also could be hype. I guess to an extent. That is hype, but also, I mean, think about what Nicholas Pooran adds for you. Like at least on his best day, Nicholas Pooran at 4 is very valuable. Right? Last season we saw that with Nicholas Pooran, he was pretty good. This season, of course, he's not clicked yet, but I think they're hoping for Nick Pooran to come through because they've identify Nick Pooran as somebody who's vital to their success in the tournament. Right? His success is vital for Punjab's success. So I think they want to continue to back Pooran, but of course, I think you'll have to drop one of Gale and Pooran to get in Malan. I just think that the Chris Gale argument, I think the Chris Gale versus David Malan debate should be based on pitch and should be based on the conditions and what kind of totals they're trying to set. I think like Aditya made a good point about spinning tracks that require 2s and 3s and singles versus tracks that require big powerful hitting, which is where I think you alternate between David Malan and Chris Gale and you go horses for courses there, right? But then I think with respect to Pooran, see the problem is they don't have any options that really sit there at 4 apart from who's sort of screaming out saying, man, this is a guy at 4 that's gonna really take you apart. There's nobody else in that side who really looks threatening. If you look at the Indian players, Sarfaraz Khan has been around Punjab for a long time but has not really done much. You look at guys like Mandeep Singh Mandeep Singh is, yes, he's a useful player, he's a utility player, but he's not the threatening player that you expect at number 4, right? And even if you look through the side there, right, Harpreet Brar, you have guys like Darshan Alkande, just random names, right, thrown into the mix. So you don't really have much really a solid somebody who screams out to you at number 4. Now playing Chris Gale and David Malan together, will that work? I have no idea. Playing your number 1 batsman at number 4, is it worth it? Or is it worth it moving Mayank Agarwal to number 4, Chris Gale opening? Do you want to do all this hocus pocus? I don't know.
That's something I consider. Put Gale top of the order, let him just new ball with KL and then let Agarwal come down.
Maybe but I think they like Mayank as an opener because he's been doing well for them, right? That's the issue. They don't want to change that. But I think somebody said that what Wasim Jaffer is saying, KL Rahul is going to be this, he's going to go for it from ball one and he's going to take apart sides and he's making KL Rahul sound very threatening. But if you look at what he's actually done, he's gotten 50 or 40, a 60 or 50, and a bunch of those. This is the same KL Rahul. Where is this attacking KL Rahul? He's not there. He's nowhere to be found, right?
But, sorry to just quickly say, Krishna, is it because he's so worried and he doesn't have any faith at all in his middle order? I mean, isn't David Milan a guy who can come in and offer solidity in that respect that Gill can't? Isn't there a value to that? Because I think Milan doesn't give his wicket away cheaply, especially even T20 cricket. You see, so he offers said a foundation there to build upon for the lower odds come in. Maybe Carroll will play with himself because he knows behind him, they're like Warner and Bairstow. There's nothing behind him, so they're worried. Is that potentially?
Yeah, it could be. I think, see, you know what they could try doing? I think one thing they can try doing is, see, they pushed Deepak Hooda to number 4, right, in that game against Rajasthan, and they won that game. So maybe keep Deepak Hooda at 4, right? And then maybe think of trying to get somebody, maybe play one of Gale and Malan, and play maybe a Moises Henriques at 5, and Shah Rukh Khan and at 6, Chris Jordan. Maybe move Chris Jordan up today. He did well. So maybe move a Chris Jordan up and then play 4 bowlers. That might work. That might actually do some good. And maybe, like you said, if they want to play Chris Gale also, then play Gale, Malan, play one of Henriques and Allen, and maybe play one of the two, one of Jordan, Meredith and Jai Richardson, right? And probably accommodate it that way. So play Hooda at 4. Maybe if they play Hooda at 4, that might actually work because Hooda's been good so far. So maybe pushing him up, since he's you should get your better batters up there, right? That's the saying. And maybe try and find an Indian batsman at maybe 6 or 7. Maybe if necessary, right? Try and maybe put a Harpreet Brar in there at 7. Offer some spin, hit some runs towards the end. At 7, you don't really need the best batter. You just need somebody to face 9 balls because on average the number 7 faces 9 balls. So maybe Chris Jordan is enough, right? So they can think about things like that. Probably try and utilize their Indian cricketers a lot more to make that middle order more effective, right? Because if Purin's not playing, the middle order's got to come and cover up. But Shah Rukh Khan has been superb so far, right? So utilize Shah Rukh Khan a little better. Utilize Hooda a little better. Maybe that might solve your problem, as they're saying, okay, Gale versus Malan, Mayank at 4, this, that, right? That might help.
I think one of the statements of the week in our group was Anurag, when I think it was Shah Rukh Khan, he said, the reincarnation of Yusuf Pathan. That'd be chuckling that day. I'd be absolutely fits that one. Jokes, man. Anyway, I think you'll see Shah Rukh Khan's doing quite well. I think Krishna, what you're saying, there's still hope, isn't there? There's still hope for Punjab to maybe salvage something here. We'll see.
See, with Punjab, it's always been a problem of utilization of resources. They retained a strong core, so they shouldn't be complaining. They retained a strong core of Indian cricketers. They bought good enough cricketers. Yes, they could have done a little better with Jai Richardson and Riley Meredith, but they have good enough Indian bowlers there. They have good enough. They have enough. It's just they just need to maximize utility, and they just don't know how to do it.
Someone's not maximizing their ability, it seems, on paper, is Kolkata Knight Riders, Sayan's team here. I think Sayan yesterday said, look out for a case of Morgan sanity today in leading Kolkata. Now, obviously, today he's doing quite well, hasn't he? I mean, obviously, this game notwithstanding, obviously, Kolkata has struggled to languish in the bottom half. What do you see the prospects going into kind of toward the second half? Well, halfway through the tournament now, Sign almost. What's your kind of opinion on how the team's been led by Morgan, and what change would you make heading into the next couple of games?
So, if we see in the last 2 matches that we lost, right, it didn't seem like a team that was led by Owen Morgan and coached by Brendan McCullum, right? They were too timid in their approach. But the team we saw today, that was the attacking team that England usually is. Although our top order is not as blessed as theirs, but whatever. I think Shubman Gill needs to step up. I think that is the only position that KKR has never touched after him becoming an opener, replacing Robin Uthappa. Although Shubman Gill is a class player, he was our high scorer last year, but he has to step up. Nitesh Rana's inconsistency has again come into the picture, right? He had played 2 brilliant knocks of 54 and 80, if I'm not wrong, and then he has again faltered throughout the way. as much as I hate to say it, Trey Russ, uh, that guy is again inconsistent, isn't he? He played 21 balls, 30, 54, brilliant innings, but I don't know what's with that man. Why does he want to hit every ball for a six? Why can't he just keep his ego aside? Today, mainly the Mohammad Shami over. He was trying to hit Yorkers for six. I mean, come on, respect Mohammad Shami for what he is. Also, there's another problem with KKR. It's their bowling. When the bowling comes good, you saw in the SRH match, also in the Mumbai Indians match, right? They look brilliant, but when it doesn't come good, well, let me not remind you of the Chennai match. Okay, I think the problem is with their consistency because they are a good enough team to win the top four, right? On paper, they are a better team than DC. I'll say that. Okay, I think if they manage to get this shit together for the next couple of matches, they will go back. And with Morgan coming back in form, both good news for England and KKR, I hope.
Okay, we've got a question which probably not for me to answer. I can say the first word, bro, but maybe up to someone else to help me out with the rest.
Take it. Did I take it?
I probably need a translation if someone doesn't mind to give me that, and then
Yeah.
you can answer it. If you want to answer it in, is that Hindi? Is it? Sorry, if you want to answer it in Hindi, then feel free as well. The guy's actually gone anyway, I think.
So what he said is, one sec. Okay, so he put in 23 rupees and he won 26 rupees.
Oh, he was betting.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those fantasy games.
I was saying, oh, he's going to translate it in English. Thank you, Pawan. Thank you, mate.
That's the
You should have made a lot.
random comment.
You saw the last 10 minutes of our show last week. You probably would have come straight to English, mate. Krishna's in bits about this. Oh, God.
I mean, after last week, why wouldn't you be in bits?
Yeah, Kabhi, Kuchi, Kabhi.
Kabhi kuchi kuchi
Oh,
ku,
no,
yeah.
you don't even ask me to say that today. I got another question for you lot in it today. Got another question for you lot. I'm sticking away from the movies though. Staying away from the films for this time. All right, well, Paul, what do you want to come and translate? I think Sayan's been kind of anyway to translate it. You've won. What's Lagai in Jita?
Learn Hindi.
What? I don't get it. He's won 3 rupees.
Yeah, he's made a profit of 3 rupees.
Yeah. And he also said today's match was not worthy of being watched. So yeah, he said
Hey,
that
come
also.
on, man. KKR won.
Yeah.
Why can't you be happy for us?
Pawan's asked me to learn Hindi, bro. That I do understand. So thank you for that, Pawan. Maybe a chance at some point I will do just for you, Pawan. I will learn Hindi just for you for the next episode. Right. If we just move on from there, I just want to quickly do the winners and losers of the week predictions, and then we'll wrap up, guys. So quickly go around. I'll start Krishna, Sayan, Anurag, Aditya. So winners and losers for the week. Krishna?
Prithvi Shaw, Avesh Khan, Akshar Patel, Chris Morris, Jadeja, Faf, Duplessis, Dev Dutt, and Pat Cummins, the batsman, are my winners. I actually wrote this down in preparation for today's show, so points for me, guys. Losers are David Warner and the SRH team management, Owen Morgan and Brendan McCullum. Maybe not after today, but I mean, in general, I still think so. And the Mumbai Indians middle order of Krunal, Hardik, and Pollard.
Sayan?
So winners are Avesh Khan, Mohammad Siraj, Ravi Jadeja, Owen Morgan, and losers are Punjab. I'll say the whole team.
Did you just call Owen Morgan a winner? I can't
Come on,
believe
man.
it.
Man just came back in form. Okay, give
Look
some
at
respect.
Punjab. Anyone beats Punjab, man.
Mumbai Indians doesn't.
That's a 1 to you, eh?
Okay, yeah. Rohit Sharma is one winner. Losers are the Pandya brothers, 3 Pandya brothers. Yeah, that's it.
Anurag?
Yeah, so firstly, the winners are CSK's team management for not dropping Rutraj and going for Robin Uthappa by pressing the panic button. Faf Duplessis, Devdutt Padikkal, these are my winners. Then losers would be Ishan Kishan. Then Rashid Khan as a batsman who's giving away his wicket simply without scoring a single six. And yeah, that's all.
Aditya?
Winners be Rohit Sharma, Francois Duplessis, uh, Devdutt Padikkal, Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, and losers would be Shubman Gill, Pat Cummins, the bowler, and I'd go with the middle order of the Mumbai Indians.
Fair enough. Right. If we quickly run through the fixtures coming up. So tomorrow we got obviously top of the table clash, haven't we, between CSK? Sorry, I got that wrong. Sorry, Delhi and LCP tomorrow. Top of the table clash. We'll quickly do a ring round. Just going to tell me who you think is going to be the winner. Krishna, you going to predict, or you're not going to abstain?
Oh, that's fine. I'll do one today.
All right, cool. Right, so I'll start up with the games the next few days. So let's go with Delhi and RCB. Krishna?
Delhi.
Fine.
Team led by Indian Adam Gilchrist.
Anurag?
Yeah, Delhi Capitals. Rishabh Pant will be the man of the match.
Aditya?
RCB.
RCB. Right, so 20th we've got Chennai and Sunrisers. Krishna?
I think CSK are due for a loss at this point, so I'm going to say Sunrisers, but I hope it doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Chennai.
Anurag?
Sunrisers. Manish Pandey will win it for them.
Aditya?
Chennai.
All right. A couple more. Mumbai, Rajasthan on Thursday. Krishna?
Rajasthan.
Wow, really?
Yep.
You back in Rajasthan against Mumbai? Sayan?
Rajasthan.
Anurag?
Mumbai.
Aditya?
Mumbai's going to hammer Rajasthan.
Which ground is it though?
Delhi.
Rajasthan.
Yeah, Delhi. Yeah. And then Friday's game, finish on that one. So Punjab versus RCB. RCB back in action again. Oh, sorry, I missed the game there. Double header, isn't it, on Thursday? Delhi and KKR. Ahmedabad.
Delhi.
Fine.
Biased, come on. KKR.
Anurag?
Yeah, KKR as well.
Aditya?
Delhi.
No, Delhi. All right. And we'll finish on, it's a game on Friday night. Punjab and RCB. Guys, what are you doing?
Punjab.
Fine.
Punjab.
RCB.
RCB. No question.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like, you get the predictions, you guys, because we smash with we're dissing Rajasthan and Punjab, and then after you select him against some, I think, fairly, reasonable opposition.
Underdog stories.
Wax him.
Underdog stories, Shay.
No, I think it's more of law of averages. I think. I just think
Yeah,
that.
same.
Yeah, I like knowing RCB's history and knowing Punjab, like just these teams in general. Like,
Once RCB is this,
our predictions are based on that. So yeah.
Interesting. We'll see, We'll see. Pawan's asked a question about Gift Scale. We actually went through this, mate, before middle of the show. Not playing well, because talking about, weren't we? I mean, does someone quickly want to answer? Sign, do you want to answer that question?
Universe Boss will be back, okay? Do not question it. He will be back in the next match.
Unless he's dropped for Davi Milan. What's to say in that? Right. Okay, so this is where I ask about you guys, and I want to ask a question on Indian culture. So last week was your favorite movies. Let's not get back into that. Today, I'm going to ask, what is your favorite breakfast, Indian breakfast to have?
Who's starting?
Krishna, you go.
Me?
Yeah,
Oh,
and if it's
man,
Indian name, obviously just tell me what it is.
This is so tough, man. It's so tough. Damn. Shoot. I'm South Indian. I'm gonna go with my dosa, man. Masala dosa with chutney and sambar. Masala dosa is like basically a rice crepe. That's the fancy word for it. It shouldn't be called rice crepe. It's a disservice to the food. But to explain it to you guys, it's basically a crepe made out of rice, like made out of rice batter, made with lentil, like mixed with lentil batter as well, and salt. And you eat that with a chutney made out of coconut, and spices, and also sambar, which is basically a tomato based, like tomato and vegetable based kind of like, I guess, lentil soup, which is also worst way of describing it, but it is what it is.
Sounds delicious. Is that quite spicy then? Pretty hot?
Sometimes.
Okay. Even for breakfast, even.
Yeah. And it's depends. Like a lot of people don't like that much spice. A lot of people like it spicy. Like in different parts of India, different people like it at different spice levels. Oh, and also the dosa, the rice crepe is filled with it has a filling of spicy potatoes and an onion, spicy potatoes and onions and lentils, kind of mashed potatoes, like an Indian mashed potato kind of.
It's not a meat
filling.
dish.
No, it's not a meat. You can make it with meat, but most people don't eat it with meat.
Fair enough. Okay. All right. Very nice. Sign.
So I've got three. One is called Rava dosa. I don't know how it's made. Second one is actually a dish from my place. It's called. Did I say something wrong, Krishna?
No, I just love how you said my favorite dish is rava dosa. I don't know how it's made, and then you just carried on.
Yeah.
Real
actually
cool.
quite brilliant. Yeah. So the second one is it's called Luchi Chola Dal. It's from my very own city, and the third one is what was the third one? Yeah, Chola Bhature. Maybe when I'm in Delhi, it's brilliant.
What's that? What's in that?
Okay, so it's
Is it a meat dish?
no, it's not a meat dish. It's vegetarian. Chola is actually, I guess,
Chickpeas.
what chola? Yeah, chickpeas, chickpea curry with fried bread, you can say, and the chola dal is also the same thing, but it's a lighter dish. It's not that much oily.
Okay. Right, Anurag, favorite breakfast of the day?
Yeah, so my favorite dish would be, it's something called Kerala parota. So you can have it with anything, any gravy curry like chicken, mutton, beef. So it's commonly eaten with beef in the Kerala state. So it's made with flour and a maida combination. So they say there's an art to mashing it. The better you mash it, that is where the taste comes out of it. So you should really try Kerala parota.
Is it quite spicy though?
Not really. The combination
Well, you
of the
you
curry
guys will
with
eat like
which
hot
you
in the
have-
morning. What time? You said morning. What time you guys eating? Like 10 o'clock?
11:30.
Ah, okay. So
We
those are
Bengalis are very
brunch.
lazy, man.
Depends.
That's like a
Bengalis are very
brunch.
lazy.
It's not breakfast. It's not like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
No, some people
We
eat it at
get-
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock as well.
No, actually, we wake up and then we have tea, right? Then after about 3 hours, we have our breakfast. That's breakfast.
Or you don't wake up and just start smashing.
No, I wake up
something.
at about 5. No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
actually, one thing, just one clarification, one information about Kerala. Kerala is the same state from which cricketers like Srishant and Sanju Samson come from. So,
Washington Sundar as well.
There's that particle.
Washington's Tamil Nadu.
Okay, you're right.
Particles are Malayali.
Particles.
Is Carol in the Pondicherry?
not exactly. It's like on the other side, like same like latitude, but other side.
But it's a beautiful place. I've been.
Where's the Malayalam people from? Are they from Pondicherry?
Kerala.
Kerala. I thought so. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
Right, Aditya, tell me the breakfast to get those guns going, mate.
Well, if I'm really indulging, then I think having a Mysore sada dosa in the morning is top class. I think Krishna would be able to explain what Mysore sada is better than I can, but I think it's delicious.
Yeah, actually, how are dosas made? Like, I don't know. My mom makes them.
That's a veggie dosa with vegetable again. Mashed potatoes, you said before.
Mysore, so it's more like a tomato-based taste, like a tomato-based paste. That's kind of spicy, and it's applied on the dosa, like on the dough, and then it's rolled, and you have it with sambar, as Krishna explained. Amazing. And a couple of years ago, back when it was still safe to go to weddings and dance and things like that, I used to have dosas in the morning, and they're unbelievable. So I think that's my favorite breakfast, Indian breakfast dish.
It's interesting. I love the reason why I also breakfast dish rather than dinner or lunch is because I think breakfast, like good, proper, nice breakfast, is my favorite meal. So like I love a hot breakfast as opposed to a cold like a porridge. Oh, I eat a lot of porridge and so like cornflakes, whatever, or porridge hot. But yesterday, for me, my favorite breakfast is a good old fashioned English fry up, sausages, beans, hash brown, mushrooms, tomatoes. Put your bread, put your white bread on the side. You know what I mean? Mop up that tomato sauce and the beans and that. That's like the best. Classic English fry.
And then get ready to throw it at the Liverpool owners. Just the beans.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, those scumbags. That's a whole new podcast, I think, man. Anyway, I do appreciate you. I just like to learn a bit more. It's interesting, over the course of this few weeks. So it's a bit more about because I'm going to play back this last 5 minutes. So I can see in that it's quite cool. So I haven't watched any of the indie movies yet. You lot suggested. I need to actually go and watch a couple of them. But yeah, I probably need about 4 hours spare, don't I, for each movie? Anyway.
I just want to shout out to two dishes that are very popular in India. There's one called poha, which is basically flattened rice flakes with vegetables and spices, and it's a very popular dish. It's eaten with chutney again, and jalebi and a bunch of other things across India. It's a huge, very popular dish. And there's another dish called aloo paratha, which is again like bread but stuffed with potatoes. And spiced
so
potatoes.
Yeah, we did that here. That we get here. Aloo paratha. You can order that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will make one addition to that. Something that I have for breakfast every day, which I absolutely love. It's you have paneer. Do you know what paneer is, Shay?
Yeah, cheese. It's like a
cheese.
So, like paneer, and you mix stuff like kesar and elaichi and all of that, and you make this concoction. It's very healthy, makes you strong, and it's fitting. Very good.
Yeah.
High in protein.
Right.
That's what we're smashing down, isn't it?
Kesar. By the way, kesar is saffron and elaichi is cardamom. So
there we go.
Yeah, no, the last thing you ever want to do is bite into an elaichi. That's the worst feeling ever.
Yeah.
God.
Really, when it's in your biryani, that's.
Oh man,
that's
the taste, man.
Yeah.
But if you're watching this is a cricket show. Believe it or not, it's not. But yeah, so yeah, it was a good hour, lads. Thank you very much for covering the IPL past 7 days. Look forward to see you all next time. Just quickly, you want to shout out where we can find you guys, Krishna?
Instagram handle over here, right there. And my Facebook at Krishna the Kalk, my YouTube channel Krishna Kalki. Please go and subscribe. I do a lot of music-based cricket content on there, so go ahead, subscribe to that. I also have a Spotify page now, and I released a song a couple of weeks back called "In Space and Time." I'm an artist also, so I have a Spotify page. My music is there. Go check me out, Krishna Kalki, same name. And yeah, that's it.
Thank Krishna. Sai, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Bust You're Not. Simple.
That's it. That's where you find this guy. This guy you'll never get a quicker guy to respond to a post. I posted him this morning. I'm not joking. 3 seconds. 3S came up. 3 seconds. I liked it. Bang. Anurag?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook as Anurag Reddy and on Twitter as The Obvious Madlad.
Thank you. Aditya?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Aditya Mehta and Aditya Mehta on Facebook.
Thank you. I'm going to post this show on that cricket group that we are all on. I don't know if you guys are able to as well. Maybe just post a link to like your Twitter. And I'm not on Twitter. I need to go about time-wise, but maybe post it as well to get a bit more traction. If next week we can get more people on the live and stuff like that, that'd be quite cool. So yeah, we appreciate you can do that. But I will post on the Facebook group actually, see if we get some kind of some views from tomorrow and stuff. Because we had a lot of views, we had less views going down actually. I've noticed. But hopefully we just get a bit more. I just need to push it out a bit more across different platforms, and we'll see next week. Anyway, that's it, guys. Obviously, it's me, Shave Money, Even Bounce. Obviously, I'd like to be joined today by Krishna, Sayan, Anurag, and Aditya. We'll see you guys next week. We'll be covering the next round of IPL games. Sayan, did you want to say anything or?
Yeah, actually, about the COVID situation. Let's have a 3-minute talk about that.
Oh yeah, let's quickly run through that if you don't mind. I'll leave this a floor to you guys. I know DTS, you guys got comments you want to say. So yeah, how is it going to impact the franchises? Do you feel?
Okay, I'll go. Look, I think generally it's it's complicated, right? We've got like 350,000 cases a day for 3 days in a row, fastest to get to 1 million cases a day. So it's horrendous out there, and the infections are brutal. Um, there are a bunch of questions that need to be asked. And around social media, the IPL is getting quite a bad rap uh, for being hosted behind closed doors. And if you really look at the numbers, each bubble, each franchise has about 100 people in there, including players, support staff, and cooks and so on. And everyone has to get tested every other day, which means 25 tests per season. Multiply that by 8. You're talking about 20,000 tests through an IPL season in a country where it's so hard to get tested now. Testing kits are in short supply. Laboratories are under tremendous stress, and unless you have a positive test, you cannot be hospitalized. So it's incredibly hard, and it does beg the question. What were the organizers thinking? This second wave started in the first week of February, and the IPL started in the first week of April. On the other hand, there are so many people on social media who talk about how great it is to have the IPL because it provides the sort of respite that people need. But my personal opinion is that I think if the IPL was to be played, it should have been played in the UAE again. Anyone with half a business brain and half a medical brain would know that a second wave is inevitable, as it has been in other countries. We had not escaped it, and you know it didn't make a difference. I think ultimately the IPL cannot be run without the players, and the players seemed to have better hotels, more access to the beach and so on in the last season compared to what they're going through now, and we've already had players leave for their home countries. So yeah, I guess my personal opinion is that the IPL should have been played in the UAE.
He feels quite
And
reckless.
it's a horrific situation.
Go ahead, DT. He feels quite reckless from
Yeah.
BTC to stage this here. Simon, what's your opinion on this? I mean, sorry, DT, apologies, DT. Carry on. No problem.
No, carry on, sir.
Okay, so the thing is, obviously, it had to be done in UAE, right? So that the mental space of the players, staff, management, whoever there is, could be clearer, and they could be in a better mindset. However, what we have to see is that we cannot cancel the IPL right now because there are about broadcasting rights, employments, and so many things depends on the IPL, right? There are groundsmen and cameramen who work just for these 2 months of the year, ideally. And I feel also the patients who are COVID positive right now, the IPL, the 7:30 to 11:30 window gives them that quite respite from the sad news that has been going around in our country, right? Even in my family, we are all COVID positive right now. All we do is look forward to the 7:30 to 11:30 window for some entertainment at that, because whenever you open news channels, it's all about deaths and open crematoriums, etc. So I feel the IPL, I know it's in India right now and it's in a bad situation, but it has to go on. It cannot be cancelled like the PSL right now.
I mean, Krishna, I have to finish this off. I mean, do you think there's any threat whatsoever of the IPL being postponed?
Could be. Given that medical staff might be short, it could be. And I don't know. You can't say for sure. I actually would like to add to some of the points made. Yes, there is a fear of the IPL, and whatever IPL is not being held at a time in which Indians are more preoccupied with more bigger problems, right, with respect to COVID and families and deaths, and there's a lot more stuff going on. And I think Ricky Ponting made a very good statement that this tournament has been so far a lot about what is going on outside of the tournament than what is going on inside the tournament, right, on the field, right? So that, I think, is a very telling statement so far. But I think also if you look at the way these IPL teams have been, like, sort of this whole COVID protocols and bio bubbles and all these things have been carried out, right? You look at how strict they are and how much anger there is when you hear about a bubble breach, and this and that, right? And you feel it's sort of there is so much precaution and care that these players go through. And you look at like the kind of players that, people opting out of the IPL, which is basically like 5 years worth of a salary for many cricket players there, right? Who are opting out of playing there because they say bio bubbles, whatever, they cause like they help, like they sort of they're not good for my mental health, right? I think that's a very interesting point there. It's a very interesting thing to look at, is that even though the IPL, you have the amount of security and the amount of rigidity that these protocols have, right, is keeping players like Mitchell Stark, like Josh Hazelwood, like Kane Richardson, Zampa, Ty, all these guys going back home, right? So is it against the safety of the players to host an IPL? I don't know. And a lot of these players are playing, this is a way for them to express themselves. Like, this is their livelihood. This is what they dream about. This is what they do. So I think this is for them, this is like a matter of livelihood. And even like Sayan mentioned, so many staff, IPL is one of the biggest employers in India, right? It's one of the biggest economy booming events that are there. April, May, IPL is a huge economy booster. So is it a bad thing that the IPL is happening? Maybe not. But is it taking away medical staff because people need to get tested all the time? People need to be there needs to be rules enforced, right? Is that something that is happening? And is the IPL taking away medical staff from hospitals? Maybe. And like Aditya said, maybe it would have been a better idea to host it in the UAE. So I guess there's a fine line between the arguments. But I guess if you really direct your anger not at the IPL, I feel like a lot of anger it's easy to take IPL as a target and sort of, throw your anger there and put all the pins in the cushion there. But look at what your government's doing, right? Take your anger out on them, not really at the IPL. So yeah, that's my point.
Thank you, Krishna. Anurag, I'm going to wrap it up there unless you've got something to say about this. Okay, all right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that. So thanks for bringing actually a very important point to discuss actually this week. Let's see how it pans out the next 7 days. Maybe it'll be more departures and we'll talk about it again. Anyway, that's it for me. Yeah, share your uneven bounce. Like content, do like, comment, subscribe, as I always say. And we'll see you this time next week. Cheers, guys. Thank you.